our country has been hijacked by extremists,
Exactly.
and these extremists are um, in charge of the government. These extremists are in charge of the judiciary. These extremists are in charge of the Election Commission of India, and these extremists are controlling the bureaucracy. And unfortunately, our army is also not so pious anymore. Besides all the calls for lynchings and the mob violence and the state terrorism which has been going on in this country for the last decade,
Mhm.
um, Manipur is the starkest example of how extreme this regime has become, and this entire ecosystem is a terrorist syndicate, is what I actually call them. Supreme Court is only acting as a protection for these terrorists, and when you protect a criminal, you are yourself a criminal. The Manipur government, Manipur authorities, along with the state government and state authorities, they have done what no other foreign entity or nation or force has been able to do. The largest handover of arms and ammunition in the history of independent India has been facilitated by the central government and the state government of Manipur. It has led to a total national security collapse.
Yes.
Besides the 7,000 guns and 7 lakh bullets, the government also distributed nearly 15,000 bombs. These are grenades.
50,000.
Yes. As per experts, the actual number is much, much, much higher. Supreme Court should have acted on day one. We know how the courts and authorities acted. They allowed the arms to be distributed for months, and it only halted after I went to the Supreme Court and filed my intervention application. There is a goddamn civil war happening. People are being shot dead. So many arms and ammunitions are just being distributed. And you want your weekend and you want your holidays, your summer holidays. It's the Supreme Court of India which caused the death of 300 plus people, led to 70,000 people being displaced. Entire national security collapse happened under these very judges, who for the last almost 2 years are not even listing the matter. Do we need a Pakistan or a China to create more harm to the country when we have these Supreme Court judges?
Hi, good morning, Theos. It's wonderful to be back with you. This is, a series of podcasts we'll be having to discuss something light, but totally, the truth. It'll be unfiltered truth. I mean, a life has layers and layers of, uh, things that we don't show to the world, and then there are things that our life by sharing, the things that we think we should have done better. Our children can see our life and then learn. It's not about a career counseling session and then they learn, right? So our life should be an open book. That is the concept of this. And when it comes to politics, it should be an unfiltered truth, uncomfortable yet, but then it has to be spoken. So since you're a friend and you've been involved in a lot of activism to do with what is wrong with this country and Manipur, you're quite a part of the fight. So I wanted to talk to you and welcome to the podcast, yours. I would like you to start with your introduction. What does a day in your life right now is? I mean, like I know you're busy. I mean, like a day in the life of Theos. Because I see you, carry the burden of organizing all these rallies, and then quite often. I did one in Delhi. It's quite a thing, to do a rally and all that. But then you have arranged a number of rallies, and then some of the things that you do, you just carry it alone. So you have a team behind you. How do you function? I mean, like.
So, Len, my work primarily is focused on um, getting constitutional governance into place.
Yeah.
Our country has, um, for a simple word, has turned into a banana republic.
Slippery
For
one.
a more,
Not just a banana, it's a slippery slope banana, right? I mean,
I actually say this: we are currently operating under a terrorist regime. Our country has been hijacked by extremists, and these extremists are um, in charge of the government. These extremists are in charge of the judiciary. These extremists are in charge of the Election Commission of India, and these extremists are controlling the bureaucracy. So our country has been completely hijacked by these extremist forces, and unfortunately, our army is also not so pious anymore.
so
That
unbiased.
is, yeah,
Unbiased or biased? I didn't get you.
I'm saying it's not pious anymore.
Bias. All right. I heard it as bias. Sorry. My bad.
So no, no, that's okay.
Sure. I mean,
It's
that is quite an extreme. For some, it might sound quite an extreme kind of this thing. This is your opinion, but then I also felt okay, we have lost our way, and then yeah, this government we're not happy at all, and we call out for what they are. But then when you call them extremists, right? I mean, like, um, what makes
let
you
me
call
tell
them
you.
extremists? And then are you not are you sometimes not concerned about being being an FIR for defamation and stuff like that? I mean, because it's hard to prove, right? I mean, if it's the truth, if it
No,
is the truth, there is a defense in defamation itself. But then blanketly calling them extremists, a suit of defamation, if it comes, how would you defend? I mean, like, what is the reason why you call them? I mean, okay, the government, perhaps yes, the party and the ideology, yes, but then from the judges to everybody extremists, how do you qualify that statement? Yeah,
okay, I'll take
sure.
just a
Yeah,
few minutes to very clearly put it out for everyone who's watching and listening this.
yeah.
Uh, Besides all the calls for lynchings and the mob violence and the state terrorism which has been going on in this country for the last
Hmm.
1 decade,
Hmm.
um, Manipur is the starkest example of how uh, extreme this regime has become, and this entire ecosystem is a terrorist syndicate, is what I actually call them. The government
Yeah,
itself.
I'm tempted to agree with you now since I'm from Manipur and then we are the receiving end, to be honest. But I try to be very fair, when I talk about careers and I brought in a lot of things. I mean, like if you do tech chapas, the cookies will think this is only ours, but then when you try to make it expand, then no one understands the concept. If it is in Chamber of Commerce and you go and talk to your, other friends and try to bring in other people into that understanding, and then you try to push something of a high idea, your people will not understand you, then they'll try to make it in-house, so that is something I'm facing as a challenge, right? So yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, so we'll be coming to Manipur now. I think it's head on, right? I mean, because it's yeah, it's not just extreme, it's incompetent. And yes, there's a reason why they are incompetent. That's the point, right? There is a reason behind being incompetent. So extreme is, in that sense, I think I would go with you, right? Obviously.
Incompetence is not the right word at all. I disagree
All
with
right,
you.
all right.
This is being aware and indulging in terrorist activities. A government which itself distributes arms and ammunition to the tune of 7,000 guns, which
Mm.
includes the most sophisticated guns like AK-47, machine guns, and carbines. Um, then, along with that, it distributes more than 7 lakh bullets. And along with that, it distributes close to
No, if
15,000.
that is your point, then I fully agree with you because not even one was shot, right? I mean, it was
Allow me,
handed off, right?
allow me to
Not
just
even one was
allow me,
shot.
allow me to complete the figure, because the final
Please,
figure which I'm
please,
about to
please.
give you is very, very important.
Yes.
Besides the 7,000 guns and 7 lakh bullets, the government also distributed nearly 15,000 bombs. These are grenades and
50,000.
mortars. Yes.
Good Lord. Okay.
14,700 is a rough number, but all of these figures, the 7,000 guns and 7 lakh bullets and nearly 15,000 bombs, is
Mm-hmm.
just the official number. As per experts, the actual number is much, much, much higher. And you can actually take out some interviews of retired armed forces personnel, senior armed forces personnel, and they have
Again,
on
Theo,
record.
abhi to just interject. Abhi to Theo, you wouldn't have the exact number. Now, a lot of those bombs or bullets are being shot, and it has landed on the side of ours. It's been exhausted. Now, there's no count also, right? I mean, they say we gave them. They will say that we gave them. We handed over, but then there's no count now. Like everything is like murky now, right? It's all guesstimates now. What would you say?
That's exactly why I say that this entire ecosystem is a terrorist syndicate, because the Supreme Court should have acted on day one. The Supreme Court should have acted, if not on day one, then the first week after the first petition was moved in the court. But what did the court say? No, we will hear it not. It's a weekend. We'll hear it after the court resumes on Monday. Then later on, other things happened. Then the court went on a holiday. There is a goddamn civil war happening. People are being shot dead. So many arms and ammunitions are just being distributed. And you
Mm-hmm.
want your weekend and you want your holidays, your summer holidays. These people should be shot dead. I have no qualms in saying this, because it's the Supreme Court of India which caused the death of 300 plus people, led to 70,000 people being displaced, and also they caused entire state, not just entire state to be
Mm-hmm.
run, but entire national security collapse happened under these very judges. who for the last almost 2 years are not even listing the matter. Do we need a
Yeah.
Pakistan or a China to create more harm to the country when we have these Supreme Court judges? We don't.
Mhm.
These people I have seen again and again, and um, you know, if I was wrong, any action would have been taken against me long back. But they know I am right, and they want that to stay hidden and not come to the
Mhm.
limelight of the country. That's the reason why they're just sitting on it. I have organized protests to the Supreme Court, right?
Mhm.
The only thing that they have managed to do is stop the protest or give me threats that there were plans for me to be picked up. But they haven't been able to do any legal action against me. Why? Because they know I'm right. If for a
Yeah.
matter like Manipur, I have to beg and plead, and the country has to say,
Mhm.
please list the matter,
Mhm.
the entire
वो
purpose of
वो
having that institution is
just
defeated.
interject, I'll just interject again. Listing का जो फंडा है ना वो भी क्या what is it, the automatic system, or who decides what is important, what is to be listed? उसी में ही justice can be finished off, right? I mean, like वो listing ही नहीं करेगा तो कश्मीर जम्मू एंड कश्मीर का that thing came up, right? The state got dissolved. I mean, where in the एक तो आप 370 निकाल दिया, स्टेट से यूटी बना दिया, मतलब it's like प्रमोशन नहीं, प्रमोशन भी नहीं, इट्स लाइक डिमोशन, राइट? एक तो उनको आधा आधा टू लिम्स तोड़ दिया, एक साइड में जाके you went and celebrate with the Ladakis. Now the Ladakis are complaining and they're put to jail. And then here Kashmir, you put it into total this thing. So ठीक है, now the only place that we had was the Supreme Court, right? They came, the court was like kind of ready to listen, but then listening हुई नहीं रहा यार, like it was delayed for so long. Now even if they give a verdict, फायदा क्या होगा? I mean, like, I don't know. So
The Supreme Court is only acting as a protection for these terrorists. And when you protect a criminal, you are yourself a criminal. The Manipur government, Manipur authorities, along with the state government and state authorities, they have done what no other foreign entity or nation or force has been able to do. The largest handover of arms and ammunition in the history of independent India has been
mhm,
facilitated by the central government and the state government of Manipur,
mhm.
which has led to a total national security collapse, as well as billions and billions of dollars spent since independence till now to keep the nation secure and ensure that not even 10 such arms and ammunition land in the hands of any civilian, let alone extremist forces. We know how the courts and authorities acted when Sanjay Dutt was found to be in possession with a sophisticated gun.
So there's a
Um,
press conference to be had if you take arrest Sanjay Dutt. But in Manipur, there's nothing, right? I mean, it is out of the minds and hearts of the other parts of the country. It's like out of the news means nothing happened, right? In this time and age, if the newspapers don't capture and all the Godi medias that they won't even show it. Yeah, please continue. So I mean, now if you relate it into the context of what was happening in Manipur in terms of giving away the arms, and then that being used, and some of the arms have gone to Myanmar. I mean, there are those people who have, I don't know how it reads there, but then yes, numbering of the state police and all that. That's what I have heard, but then I don't have a proof allegedly. Now that you link it with what you say, I think you have your point. I mean, that I think, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then the Supreme Court. I mean, not only you, a lot of Sumoto का क्या हो गया? Where is that question of sumoto? Sumoto, there's a court acting on its own, right? Yeah,
so,
so please continue. Yeah, I totally am with you. Now that you link it with that incident, though they come back with some, country made or SBBL kind of guns, and then some, they said they have submitted some 200, 300, or some 2,000 people, right? But then I don't know how many. So there's no white paper on what has come back, what has not come back. So where is that sense of security for, the
the
other
government
community?
has refused to share the report in court. In
Okay.
August, when I went to court and we made our representation, the court in its order had clearly said, tell us what is the recovery done and what is the path forward. That order came out in late August or early September. That day until this day, we don't have a report from the government that how many weapons they were able to recover, what all they actually did, what was the outcome, and the most concrete let's say, recovery or return of arms happened after the Manipur Ki Baat conversation, wherein Mr. G.K. Pillai, the former
Mm.
Union Home Secretary, suggested, gave this idea from that conference that maybe the government should, the president and the governor should, since they had just imposed president's rule, which was also quite funny with the timing. But the governor should announce a, let's say, a 1 week window that everybody who has the guns, you give back your guns. Otherwise, the government will take very drastic measures.
No,
Now,
it's a hollow threat, Theos.
no,
No,
but
I don't think
so
anyone was
what
kind of
happened out of that?
prosecuted.
What happened out of that was that even after resistance, some guns were handed back. There was this big, let's say,
Yeah,
ceremony of sorts, wherein mostly the most basic guns, they were kind of returned. But
return, yes.
that's the only serious outcome, right? Uh, till date, the government
Just,
is
I'll just
refusing.
come right. You stole an AK or LMG or SLR rifles from the government armory, and you come back and submit a country made or cartouche or something of that sort. And how is it that the government is accepting that? सोचो आपके कार चोरी हुआ है. Then you put up a notice saying कि मेरा कार चोरी हुआ है. I won't take action if you return my car. तो बंदा वो लेके आ रहा है. No, a Maruti car. Yours is a Mercedes. मान लो. How can you
They,
accept that?
no, even in that, I think the example is not right. The simple
You don't agree?
because it kind of brings the seriousness down. We are
Oh, I
talking
see.
about, right. What I have said is that these are weapons of mass destruction. That's my first
Mm.
draft note, which I'd sent to one of the senior most lawyers
Oh, you
back
send that.
in
Okay.
July 2023 before filing the petition in court. I'd said
Oh,
there's an
you have
issue
filed
of
the
doubling.
petition in 23.
Yes, I filed. My petition
No,
led
wait,
to the
wait.
halt of the distribution of these arms.
I
I
see.
filed. Uh,
Right after, right after.
so I filed in end of July. It was taken up on 3rd of August, 3rd or 7th of
Okay.
August. Actually, I think filed on 3rd of August, and it was taken up on 7th of August hearing when the DGP had been summoned by the Chief Justice, and the Chief Secretary of Manipur was also present in that hearing. So luckily, we filed just before that, and since the DGP was present and the Chief Secretary was present, and we were able to make this presentation that,
Mhm.
listen, these arms and ammunition have been taken away, and this is what our intervention application is. That's when the administration halted with their distribution of arms, because they realized that, okay, finally, this has come to the Supreme Court, and we can't, be distributing arms and ammunition like fruits and vegetables. Um, so. Unfortunately, despite that, some kind of so-called lootings and handover of arms continue till October 2024, but the court stopped
Yeah.
listening to the matter December 23 onwards. September was the last serious so-called hearing. After that,
Okay.
so
How
after
many,
that,
how many
Chandrachud,
hearings have happened before, I mean, after your submission? Without any,
I
obviously,
think
without any orders.
about 4 or 5,
But
just four
why
or
is
five.
that, every time there is this, your hearing date, any court can just tell you कि आज नहीं सुनेगा, छुट्टी है. I think that is also injustice by itself, right? एक तो time दे दिया, आप आ रहे हैं सबके साथ. And that way the offenders can always find a loophole in the system, right? किसी से बात कर लो, convince the judiciary administrative officers, not the judge. I'm not criticizing the judge. That delay can happen, right? I mean, so
So
it must be a harrowing experience, right? I mean, from
they've made a
23.
complete mockery of the judiciary, and
I understand. I understand. Yeah.
and thereby they have become part of this entire criminal and terrorist activity, and that's the reason why I say that they are themselves, they should be prosecuted
Okay.
under the very same order which was passed by Chandrachud himself in August 2023. Because what they are doing amounts to waging war against the country. What they are doing comes under the Terrorism Act, it comes under the Arms Act, it comes under UAPA. These judges and everyone responsible for not even hearing the case should be tried under these very provisions of the law. And that's what I've been saying again and again.
Yeah, you took up a
Facilitating,
very important case, no, Theos, in the sense like where without the guns, it's still easier to talk and bring about some peace. Now the cookie side will say because there are still guns floating, we don't feel secure, and which is quite reasonable. Now we should really know how many has been submitted, how many are out there. Combing operation is also not possible because of the AFSWA being in a place where the SU has signed or the IM has signed the agreement with government of India for ceasefire. In Infal, where maximum chaos happened. वहाँ पे तो like it was just 3 months before they have taken up Aspa from the valley, right? So now, in the context of Manipur, that is we are so grateful that you went to the Supreme Court with that. But now the thing is, you have also come in, used to support us in some of the in your own capacity, not as see. I don't want anyone to. I keep telling this. No, don't come and support something because it belongs to some community, and that is what in our talk. That is what I want to make our people understand. तुम सही है तो सही है, गलत है तो गलत है. Some cases में देर आर पॉलिटिक्स. पॉलिटिक्स में किसी को इन्वॉल्व होना तो हो जाओ, लेकिन पॉलिटिक्स में भी सही तरीका का होता है ना. मणिपुर में जो हो रहा है, दिल्ली में जो खेल रहा है, उनको पता है. हम सबको उल्लू बना के थियोस, उल्लू बना के हम लोग को सब पता है. यू गाइस वी टोल्ड यू एंड देन यू हेल्प अस. हम लोग को कुछ बताया नहीं. नाउ वी आर लाइक स्टक. हम लोग
I
तो सोचा कि थियोस, हम लोग गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया जी, ये लोग क्या सोच रहा था, गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया को उसका माई बाप, हम माइनॉरिटी, हमारा इंटरेस्ट देख लो, हमको प्रोटेक्ट करो. Obviously that is our right as a citizen, right? We say that. Then suddenly there's a lot of betrayal that's happening in our community. I think you're aware of that, right? So the fight was between the central government. They're strong, perhaps they're running the government, but then there was something inherently wrong what this party is doing to the country. So some of us, with fellow Indians, we started fighting back. So like we are all targets, and then even there are people across the seven seas who went and met a lot of foreign people. I mean Christians and other people who can help us. Tab ye international over. Then they started waking up. Now the thing is, are you aware of the popular government here that just formed? That and how we guys are going through. So do you think this the guns have not come back? Do you think forming this popular government and then it's like throwing down into somebody's throat? Do you think it has a chance of bringing some peace? I mean, with the guns out there, and then what do you think we should do as a people? I mean, should we continue with the struggle and how? It's a longish answer question, but then can you can you go on with one by one? I mean, the question that I hope I you got the point that I was making, right? So
let me be very very clear about this
mm,
whole popular government. It is the
yeah,
most illegal, criminal, and unconstitutional act to have happened in the history of the country. And the reason is that a government which was responsible for handing out of weapons which led to a civil war and total collapse of national security, a government which led to the death of 300 plus people, 70, 50,000, 60,000, or 70,000 people displaced and still living as internally displaced people in the country, a
yes.
government, irrespective of which side they were, which party they were, but a government which led to the first time ever creation of buffer zones within the country. Instead of being in jail, all of those people
Mm-hmm.
who were the so-called government, they have
Mm-hmm.
been brought back to run the country and further cause harm. And done by who? By one man who was also at the top of this chain and responsible for this entire massacre and collapse to happen, which is Ajay Bhalla. And I've been saying it from the day he
It's
was
been
in
awarded
Manipur.
with the governor's residence, right, in Infal. Uh,
So he
you,
was
yeah.
he was made governor in announced as governor in December after a press conference we did here in Delhi at the Foreign Correspondents Club, and from there the conversation went to all parts of the country and the world, and
Mhm.
it shook a lot of people. And shockingly, the system decided, the Home Ministry and Amit Shah and Narendra Modi decided that there was no better person to put as the governor of Manipur than the one man who was responsible, along with them, for the entire collapse to happen, because he was a Union Home Secretary when the Manipur crisis erupted. And Mr. Pillai has been very, very categoric, and various other people have been categoric that the Union Home Secretary and the Union Home Ministry are responsible for not rushing in the central forces in time, which led to the
Mhm.
crisis erupting in the first place, because that should have been done as soon as the High Court order came in. Even if there was confusion, it was understood that there can be some clashes, and instead of rushing central forces immediately, they sat on it. Then they allowed the arms to be distributed for months, and it only halted after I went to the Supreme Court and filed my intervention application. So they could not find any better man, and the only reason such a man is placed is to safeguard themselves. There can be no other way. And anyone who thinks that he was placed there and you all were pleading to the government, hamari, hamare liye ye kar lo, wo kar lo,
Mhm.
that was never the intention. So the
So
union,
the talks were always, always decided on their own terms. I mean, like, we will talk to this guy. We have created a platform. I mean, like, मुझे आपको ये देना है, ये लोग को भेज दो उठाने के लिए. I mean, this is a movement where people are uh, so struck down to the level of losing their even sense of self and sense of security, right? Safety ka concern, the thought of returning to their homes, it's all gone. I mean, both the Meiteis and the Cookies. Now, when the Cookie side demands that at least justice be done, they're not even allowed to talk about the churches being burned down for fear of the RSS or the BJP. So now these people are now the ones who declared the essay are now joining the government who had hunted us now. So these people, as you rightly say, forget about Meteis or the cookies or MLS, the same. It's all greed and it's all power lust. They will come and say all that we don't care anymore. Now the thing is, now that who proposed Khemchand's name, I think it was Mr. Biren himself, whose criminality is pending in the Supreme Court. Now, here's the youths are restless, and they would need. I would I would want some sanity to come back and then ask them to fight using the constitutional means available, because this government is always looking for an opportunity to kind of hit back at their own citizens, right? उसको गलती नहीं चाहिए, गलती करवाना है. उसके बाद उनको they had to kind of use force or do something. Wangchuk is one clear example. Sonam Wangchuk. So how should we come back from this betrayer, and then because we cannot, it's like a trap. We have something called a pale tongue in cookie. The trap is like this, right? It's like big animal, even lions, if they come, once they cross that line, the trap door shuts, boom, it's a huge lock. So Manipur infar situation is still like that. Who kill us? Why? We don't know. Suddenly they may lose. We'll come and say, peace, peace. And then we come to Infal. Suddenly that trap will shut down. And then now that 100 plus something to almost 200, 300 people die. So if that is the case, then 10,000, 20,000 people could die again. I'm not, trying to be a fear monger, but the weapons are not submitted. There is no condemnation of the rapists, murderers, or people who were lynching in open. It's as if it was a festival, right? It's a carnival in Infal. And then the sanction of rapes and violence is by the society. I'm not saying the entire society. Maybe a few good men doesn't absorb the sin of all the carnival celebrating masses that they were even sometimes made up IBs were seen in that group. So Theos, I mean, like, do you think our people are not articulate? They just say no to popular government, but I think it has to be structured in a way that others understand. I mean, they don't feel safe. I mean, the arms are up there. Your point is like the main point, because the arms are there. Anytime that arms can be taken out, the bullets are still there. It can be used against you, because the state government itself, when they were burning hockey way and all that, it was led by the state police. So with all those documents, no condemnation within the community itself. Yes, those people were wrong. We would help in securing justice. एक बार भी सुना क्या थियोस आपने? I don't want to make this podcast about this thing. I try to take out my cookies-ness out of this thing, but then when you speak the truth, it comes out, right? So, what is your take, sir? Because I don't understand. You don't even make you can't even make two communities come together by forming a peace committee, and then you force a popular government which was responsible for the violence, and even after the violence breakout, it was responsible for aggravating the situation. But look, after the outbreak, central government came in, but then because the popular government was there, one side was always protected, and then they were transported by the police official vans and Caspers. So in that situation, nothing has changed on the ground, just that Bala has come. So Bala ko bhi nikalna hai. So now that popular government is coming, so who knows when the new CM or people like the Arambai ask them to swear an oath again. They have already swear an oath, right, under the Arambai flag. They would do anything these people say. So, आपका opinion चाहिए. I mean, like, for me, when I really look at it, I find it crazy. I mean, like,
so Len, like I've said, number one, it's the most illegal, criminal, and unconstitutional act to have ever happened in the history of our country. That's my opinion, number one. Number two, where all of you are at fault is that you were hoping for a solution to arrive from the perpetrators themselves. Why would they ever do anything which will
So,
provide you
so just
so-called
don't mind.
justice?
I'll interject. The perpetrator, according to some of the Sioux group, is the state government. But me, I said it is both. Without the, there's something called vicarious liability. वहां पे India is a union of states. If the central government controls the state, which is also the same party, how will they have the audacity or the, they wouldn't dare to, do that. So yeah, please continue. So yeah, I
So
mean,
the Indian Constitution very clearly says that it's the responsibility of the union government to
mhm,
ensure safety and security in a state if there is a collapse, right?
yeah,
If the state is unable to take care of its affairs, number one. Number two, um,
mhm,
the state has been under president's rule for 1 year, a week short of 1 year. What difference has come about in that 1 year for us to say that sanity has returned? Um, just what, couple of weeks ago, one man was shot head point blank down on his knees in a ISIS or a Taliban manner. Um, that also did not stop them. But only thing that they did was they asked YouTube, Twitter, etc., to remove the video of that particular killing.
that particular person. Yeah,
And irrespective of who shot it, I don't know who shot him, because we are in a in a war. We don't know what stories are floated, who did what, and then it was projected as how. So I don't want to comment on that. There has to be an inquiry done by some absolutely uh, impartial committee or judge or officer to bring out to light that who were the people who actually shot that person the way he was shot. Then we have the case of the Gita Mittal Committee. Thanks to the Supreme Court of India, the Gita Mittal Committee itself lapsed. The entire country doesn't know this, and I have been pleading with the
it
media.
wasn't extended. Has it not been extended?
No, not beyond 31st July 2025, because that's when it was supposed to lapse, and the date just prior to that in Supreme Court,
Hmm.
uh, the previous CGI Gawai, he did not even list the matter then also. So because the matter was not listed, the committee itself lapsed and became defunct. Now who do you go to? Who will all these refugees go to? Right? So they made a complete mockery of every single institution. Now, when we speak
Yeah.
about every single institution, I'm also going to come out with the last point that where the focus should have been all along.
Hmm.
The last institution, which is also a terrorist syndicate, is the Election Commission of India. When you
True.
had a civil war waging in, let's say at that time it was limited to Manipur, could you have held elections there? My very first question. I wrote to the Election Commission on 13th of March 2024 before the elections commenced. 15th March is when they announced the date. I wrote to them prior to that, and I've posted them a letter saying that we are in a state of national emergency. You cannot hold elections. You must postpone elections, and you must also ban the BJP for all these acts.
That was for the MP election,
That was for the Lok Sabha.
Lok Sabha, right? Mhm.
Right. Now, in a condition such as what was prevailing in Manipur, with 70,000 people officially displaced. That number, somebody says is 50,000, somebody says 60,000, somebody says 70,000, and going by how our government hides data, I won't be surprised that that number is beyond 1 lakh also. However, let's say
Possibly
that
because the
number is
villagers
60,
might not register also. I mean, those are
right?
probably from Imphal and some conscious citizens, but from the villagers who escape, maybe you might have missed out, or maybe people who have ran away directly to Delhi and all that, वो तो register करेगा ही नहीं. So
So
yeah, your estimation could be correct. And 1 lakh.
can you hold can you hold a free and fair election in these circumstances? Is it
Yeah,
possible?
all those people. I mean, like that 1 lakh is disenfranchised, right?
Not just that,
Maybe.
you are living under a gun. People can be
Yeah.
influenced to cast their vote under a gun, under the influence of the gun. I mean, what else will it take for us to realize that this was a total security collapse, and not just in Manipur, a national security collapse? What else qualifies as a national emergency? What else will it take for these goddamn idiots and terrorists to, recognize this is a national emergency? And yet they not only held elections there, but I'm surprised that even Congress went ahead and fielded their candidates in Manipur, irrespective of them winning. But I'm saying that that entire election was wrong. Then comes the second aspect. The entire 2024 election was such a fraud exercise that in 538 seats out of 543, which is 99% of the total seats, the results of votes polled versus votes counted did not match.
Mhm.
So what
Yeah.
you had was a completely fraudulent exercise because the government which was brought in, not only the votes polled versus votes counted did not match, the other issue
Mhm.
was that reports also suggested that nearly 4.75 crore extra votes were added after the 5 p.m.
Okay. Okay.
Vote surge. Historically, this has remained under 1%, that after 5 p.m., whatever the number of people are there in the line, the doors are closed, the gates are closed, and till the time they cast their vote, the voting continues, and that number is later on given to the election commission by the local administration. That number has usually been up to an additional 1%.
I see.
But here, this time around, that shot up to even 12.5% in some places. And that's how these additional 4.65 crore votes were added. And that's Election Commission's number. And an organization called Vote for Democracy brought this out through a report.
Mhm.
And ADR also did that. They brought out how there was a discrepancy in 538 constituencies. Can you imagine? 538 constituencies, the votes polled versus votes counted is not matching on a EVM. It's not ballot paper. So you have a machine which is deployed which can't even do the basic math which a 100 rupee calculator can do. And entire democracy was hijacked by using such techniques and machines. Now,
Yeah.
had the proper elections been held, a terrorist government would not have been brought back to power. Number one, an alternate government which was brought in by people's mandate would have been in place, which would have resolved the Manipur issue, hopefully. And this time round, it was very, very clear that it was the Indie alliance which had the people's mandate, because everybody was sick and tired. And why we had
Mhm.
such large discrepancies in votes count, votes polled, and the 5 p.m. vote surges. So the entire election was a fraudulent exercise. And what we need to focus on is the Election Commission of India and how, along with the Supreme Court, it has abdicated, not only abdicated its responsibility, but also facilitated this terrorist regime to continue. And mind you, Len, the what I'm going to tell you now will make you laugh
Mhm. Which one?
and shock the entire country. That
Yes,
this
please.
was not the first time this discrepancy happened. In the
Mm-hmm.
2019 election, these kind of
2000?
discrepancy, 19, the 2019 Lok Sabha.
The second one. After they've
Yeah,
been in 14, the second one.
yeah.
I see. Yeah.
2019
Mm-hmm.
also saw discrepancies in votes polled versus votes counted. In how many seats? 347. And a
This is a
petition
this
was
is a
filed.
real issue. I mean, in Manipur, almost 1 lakh people didn't vote. I heard they put some voting booths in the relief camps and all. Yeah, I think I totally go with you in the sense the easy, if the person who's supposed to be fair and declare who scored the goal and जो maximum score करता है वो elected होना है. If that person referee himself is with the other team, that is what, like now we really don't know who's really winning. So that is one other point. Now
So
we'll
allow me
probably sit
around
down
one
again.
minute
Is
to
there
tell
any
you.
is there any
Allow me,
area that you want to touch?
uh, Len, entire Manipur crisis was avoidable had a fraud election not been conducted in 2019 itself. Because 2019 there was a discrepancy in 347 seats, because of which the Bharatiya Janata Party got selected or chosen by the election commission as the
Here,
winning party.
just to interject, in Manipur, that is happening from the time I don't know. I mean, at time I could remember. जो आप जो कह रहे हैं ना 19 में ऐसा हुआ है.
This-
I'm not saying
this-
the election commissioner election when it is TN session or जो भी when they were very strong also, it was like somebody would have either threat or either money or something that has been going on. So anybody who's elected as an MLA, serving the people is the last thing that is in the got forsaken heads, and
Len,
corruption is
Len,
the thing that drives them. Yeah,
the
please.
the see, corruption and self-interest is been rampant for last decades across party lines, right? And they're all the same. However, the kind of arms distribution which happened under this regime, which led to this massacre, did not happen in the past. And had 2019 elections been conducted fairly, a, criminal regime would not have been in place, and they would not be able to facilitate this civil war which has been going on. That's the
Yes.
point I'm making. And what is going to be most shocking is that ADR filed a petition in the Supreme Court in 2019 itself. Asking them to investigate this discrepancy of votes polled versus votes counted, the
The world,
entire
the
country
world
should know.
yeah.
Entire country should know that petition has not been adjudicated till date.
Which petition was this?
2019 elections, the discrepancies
No, that has not been taken up. Even now
that has
also.
not been till now. Another election has come and gone, and we are already almost 2 years into that next election, and yet the Supreme Court of India has not found time from its very busy, hectic schedule of killing dogs and harming the environment, of erasing Aravalis and etc. They have not found time for this very tiny, minuscule matter of uh, votes counted versus votes polled in what is known as the world's largest democracy. That's how serious this problem is. And what all of us need to get together behind is that these two institutions, which I call Lal Kile now, Supreme Court of India and the Election Commission of India, it's from here that the BJP and RSS and their allies and foreign powers which are behind them are ruling the country.
Mhm.
What we need to do is we need to, and I filed a petition in 2024, September 2024, challenging the results of the 2024 elections. That also has not been taken up till date, despite
Mhm.
numerous repeat petitions and numerous requests to several Chief Justices of India. When I filed, Chandrachud was Chief Justice. When I filed an RTI, Sanjeev Khanna was Chief Justice. When I refiled requesting being taken up, then Gawai was Chief Justice. Um, so they are all in it to protect the government or protect their own goddamn selves. But
Mhm.
national interest and democracy doesn't concern any of them. They don't have the guts to do it. They can only take suo moto against voiceless animals and do things to harm the environment and let total devastation happen. But actual things which matter, they are only going to act against national interest. And that's the reason why I say that we don't need Pakistan and China to harm us when we have the Supreme Court judges sitting there.
So no, the excuse that the Supreme Court, and sometimes I don't know, that is another discussion for another day, because yeah, I mean the executive, the judiciary, and the legislative body seem to have a separation of power. But yeah, the delay has, whether it's intentional or otherwise, the delay has, and then not taking, I mean, not taking up sumoto cases or situations where it demands, but based on the discretion. And we are also people who cannot hold them, accountable. But yeah, as we come to the
So we
later part
have
of
to
the
hold them
segment,
accountable. We
yeah,
have to hold them. That's where the entire thing is. That what
we have
we
to go,
have to
right?
do.
We can't run away. That is perhaps the temple of justice, or whatever name, whatever delays that happens. Finally, वही तो जाना है, right? So now that
What we have done,
ऐसे
what
ऐसे ऐसे के बारे में हम लोग ने बात कर ली, but then the thing is, see, they had this group called three big organizations, like the civil society organization, the SU group, basically means the guns, and then the MLS, and they are the ones who, I mean, you are in this fight from the very beginning for reasons which are based on your belief that the arms that are being looted are against national security. I mean, like, you don't. I mean, what is bad for national security is also bad for minorities and people at the receiving end, right? So that's how things fall in place. But now that things are like this, what could be the way forward for the people? Because they are now not dissolution, because these MLS did nothing. They didn't help us fight the narrative war where we were called, because they said essay, they call us separatists. They call us anything under the sun. But Paul Engle gave one interview, others never gave. I think you've been following. So we had asked for TC under the SU people, and then before that, uh, we used to ask for a separate state which has a legacy, right? The options, which no one abandoned, it's still there. Then this TC SU group, they went and asked for TC, which is territorial council. Now that we all are just out of infall, and then our pains are so big, we think we cannot live with the Meiteis. But then at that point, people wanted, all that they wanted was justice. So on the 10th or 12th, I think it's the 10th, they announced the essay without consulting their people, and then people fought, believing these people will resign. But we knew these people were not with anybody, at least some of the ministers. How can you be in the cabinet? How can you be in the cabinet and then Biren signing those papers and say, Biren is a bad guy? So now the people are waking up and then feeling not just hurt, anger, and then but that anger should be directed into something meaningful, right, Teos? So They should not go and burn, a government building, this, that, and then Afspa hai kills me. They could be just shot. So, but then there has to be a political, in Cookie they call it MIPI movement, or in English People's Movement, so that something concrete has to come out. State was one. TC belongs to the underground SU group, which since they signed SU, they are called SU groups now. Then SA was something that was started by the MLS, and when the this SU groups say, "Okay, okay, fine. Now that we understood the people's problem, we have signed out of the Manipur integrity clause. So we will ask for something. We'll stand with the people. We'll ask for something that MLS also agree. Obviously, wife and husband, dono side mein hota hai. So now TC was something. No, UT they ask. Then everybody followed. People are very good, right? Everyone followed. Then they all fight. They all demand that. And last week, kya hua? The very people who started broke. Some came broke. I'm saying, I stood with the, whatever that we signed. So one has become a deputy CM. The other two, I don't know, kahan pe chamchagiri kar raha hai, do hai. So that is the status. But then, if people have to come together, they should have a proper demands that they can survive. Ek to yes, constitutionally hai, to you can sustain for a long time. But if it comes to the matter of violent struggle and with guns and everything, then I think we are going the wrong way. So this podcast also intends to kind of rein in youngsters to think with their brain long term. So Theos, I want your advice. I mean, reach out to youngsters and then tell them, we are there with you. The whole of India is with you. Let's fight constitutionally. And then जो आपको है ना क्या बोलते हैं लाठी लेके आ रहा है तो लाठी वो गांधी जी ने बताया नहीं कि तीसरा वाला गाल गाल तो है ही नहीं. इफ यू हिट वन साइड ये दिखाओ, थर्ड वाला तो हम कहीं पे भी लिखा नहीं. तो on that basis, how do we structure our struggle again? Maybe a state is something worth fighting for. To me, I mean, I see. Hey, UT with legislature, वो मांग के क्या करोगी? Delhi is also a duck. And then these people mineral rights to everything, the central government, whatever they want, they'll give it to the Adanis and whatever. But if it's a state, at least minimum security is there. Finally, we can talk to the Métis people to people contact, and then we can make peace between ourselves. But in terms of autonomy as a state, sovereign power to रहना पड़ेगा. Otherwise, our situation is so special. हम लोग we don't demand anything, but जो पहले जो demand था state का वो revive करना पड़ेगा. That's what I feel myself, right? I'm out in the open. So yeah, I just want to kind of understand from your perspective. I mean, calm down the nerves, and how do we go about it? Not here, please. Like
So before I come to the message for the youngsters, I want to also share
analyze
that
it. Yeah.
how this administration and the governments have acted. The valley areas where almost 90% of the arms and ammunition were supposed to be held, they did not impose AFSPA there. And they did not impose AFSPA throughout this entire now almost 3-year period.
It was taken out 3 months just before the violence started. But what is stopping them to put it back when the arms were this thing, right? I think, yeah, that is one big point. If we have to fight, there is a law called vicarious liability, right? In torts. I think that should be applied to the central government. I mean, all the losses they have to do and all the life that is being lost, and they have to be held responsible, right? BJP government. Yeah, please, Theo, yeah, that's a good point. I would totally, be in sync with you, right?
Security experts have been on record to say that the army was operating with one hand tied behind the back. We also lost army men in this entire crisis. They were kidnapped and shot also. We heard
Yeah.
cries for help even by a retired lieutenant general of the army from Manipur, right? So the so-called government, and I call it an illegal criminal government, which wasn't elected by the people, neither in 2019, neither in 2024, has been acting completely against people's interest, against national interest, and um, illegally, criminally, unconstitutionally. So, number one, to expect them to do anything for you and the right thing uh, for anyone in the country. If you look at the whole country today, everybody is suffering in one way or the other. Manipur is the starkest where total collapse of national security happened. What is very, very important here also is to bring out this element that Arambai Tengol opened branches across the country in October, November 2024.
So it's still there in the places. It's still open, not shut down.
I am not sure if they're still open, but we went to the rush to the Supreme Court telling them that a terrorist organization under investigation by the NIA, not just any other, local police, by the NIA under investigation, is opening up branches across the country. What did the Supreme Court do? Sanjeev Khanna postponed the matter from December 2024 to January 2025 and never listed it again. Um, This is how
So
serious.
back to the listing issue again, right? I mean, like,
So don't list it. Don't share any reports. Gita Mittal
right.
committee was, as per orders of the Chief Justice of India, Gita Mittal committee was supposed to submit its report to us, the petitioners. Gita Mittal committee
Petitioners
has
or
not.
to the Supreme Court? Somebody
No,
was
us
like
also.
acting very
To
smart.
us also. To us also.
To
We
you also, right? The petitioners,
yes.
obviously, the petitioners, but yeah.
Uh,
And even citizens should have an access after they give it back to the petitioners or to the Supreme Court, right? I mean, before that, obviously, they wouldn't share it to anybody.
so they have not given that report to us also, despite asking and attaching an order of the Supreme Court and the Chief Justice of India. That's how, let's say, uh, elevated they have become, that they are above the constitution of the country, they are above the Supreme Court of India, they are above government of India. And
Mhm.
that's why I say it's a complete collapse and institutional uh, capture.
Mhm.
So what everybody across the country has to understand is that we have a unprecedented situation here, and
Mhm.
unprecedented times call for unprecedented measures. But if you
True.
keep sitting at home and if you keep sitting in Manipur, nothing is going to happen.
So yeah, so
People
the
from
youngsters
Manipur
have to come to Delhi, right?
and sit down at Jantar Mantar or India Gate
Full
non-stop,
time, non-stop.
non-stop, and inspire rest of the country to come and sit with them. Because what this government, according to me, number one, what
Yes.
has been done is not only illegal, criminal, but what they're trying to do is brush everything under the carpet. But when you do that, sooner or later, the spark reignites, and then it leads to a larger issue. So they are only trying to say कि अभी इसको दबा दो and बाद में देखेंगे क्या करना है. But
It's a band-aid, right? Because they're incompetent to not solve it in the intervening period of almost 1 year. That's why they had to put in that popular government within that period, giving the MLS the opportunity or the fruit to kind of give, what would I say? It's like the Adam's apple, right? I mean, like the fruit of seed is being laid out, right? So I don't know. So Jantar Mantar is one, but the thing is, our people tend to see things in the reactive. We are reactive people and emotional. So how to sustain that struggle for a long time? And we are basically more of a people who are more handy with fighting out, which is long, short term. I mean, like, because now that I understood the power of the law, it takes long, but it eventually wins. So now, for instance, our problem is this: the BJP is with the majority. I mean, because that being the political calculus of their political game that they play. But on the other side, even in the Congress, the person that they have elected is from the major community again. So दोनों की तरफ से ना, it's like we are like in between, right? So how what do we do in that situation, right? I mean, like, so to
do the
some
right
the
thing.
solution is the guns. I
The
don't think that is
question,
the solution.
no, the answer is do the right thing. The right thing is that if you have, let's say, security guards in your home, would you go and fight the robbers yourself? When you have the army of India, when all taxpayers pay the army of India, then is it not the duty of the army? And what I have done for the second time now, I had first in May 2025
Yeah.
officially said to the army to arrest Narendra Modi, Amit Shah, and the entire cabinet
Yeah,
for,
I read the petition. Yeah.
right?
Will it
I
work?
have
Yeah. I
refiled
mean,
the
it
same
sounds a bit
thing.
utopian, right? I mean, but then,
No,
yeah, I
it's
don't
not
know.
utopian. It's
But
not
then the
utopian. It is
concept itself
constitutional.
says a lot, right?
It's constitutional because the duty of the army is to address every single threat, whether it is from an external force or internal force.
That's
Today,
true.
the biggest threat is from these people. Why will the army keep sitting on them? And I have refiled that petition with the army now and given them this documents that how this is an unelected government which has stolen the mandate of the people and is wreaking further havoc, and it is your constitutional duty, failing which you will also be sooner or later court-martialed. There is already a complaint which I had filed in July 2023, including against the army for not acting in a timely manner in Manipur.
And you filed that again in what court? In the Supreme Court or?
I had filed that with the Home Ministry itself. Because if
Okay.
you have to file a police complaint, you have to go through the police channels. But what did the Home Ministry say in my RTI questioning? It says we never received the complaint, despite, no, they say we cannot confirm having received it, despite it was sent to the official email ID of the Home Secretary, which
Mm-hmm.
happened to be Ajay Bhalla only that time, right? So what we
That's why you
need
know him
to,
quite well, huh?
I know him much better than anybody else does, because I know this man is a criminal who should have been put behind jail, put behind bars years and years ago, because what they did to the farmers also in the farmers' protest and successive farmer protests was
I see.
completely criminal. And he's been the man who's been in charge. He's been the man
Mm-hmm.
who also has hidden the investigation of what happened in Pulwama when our CRPF men they died in one of the most sad and shocking uh, incidents. He
Mm-hmm.
became secretary soon after, and we don't know anything about what actually happened. All those reports and everything have been hidden. While very clearly it shows that they had all the intelligence inputs and they did not act on it and facilitated that massacre too for electoral gains. But why did they do that? Because they had to hide what they were about to do with the machines in 2019 with the 347 seat discrepancy. They had to show something else, that oh, the national wave had turned in BJP's favor. It had not. No one liked the BJP after what they did during demonetization, the havoc that they wreaked
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
economy, to the people in the
How,
country.
how can it not have an impact, right? People were dying, people were suffering, and then when the results come out, they remain as popular or more popular than the time before that disaster, the demonetization, or some other disaster or the other.
I
So yeah,
remember the day.
something is wrong. That is
I,
established, right? So
I
Theos,
remember
I think will there are a lot
the
of things.
solution.
Like since we have worked in that, and then there are things like Barex, the Bharat against rape free India. Those are areas that we'll be talking in our next podcast. I think we're getting a bit heavy. Just to like it's been almost 2 hours. The podcast that we intend to do is like going to be basically an unedited raw feed. Let people see it. Let them come and speak their mind, and then let's be open about it, right? So for today, I mean, it's been long. I mean, I don't want to engage you. I mean, it's almost 2 hours, and then yeah, thank you for coming to the podcast. Before we end, I mean, is there any point that you want to make about your observation on the struggles that we have in Manipur? I mean, like, what should we do next? And then I give you options, right? The Luthu is a three-pot tripod for cooking something. They didn't let people who are people who could have given advice at dissenting voices. Uska suna nahi. We have always warned them that something like this could happen. Then now it is betrayal. So all the demands earlier is like kind of no one will trust them now. The state demand is something that perhaps it's worth pursuing. Otherwise, the movement is going to fizzle out. There won't be any resolution for the Meiteis also, for the hills also. There will be some fight somewhere, something, and then the whole thing will kind of collapse. So I don't know. You have run campaigns. What would be your advice? I mean, bit specific, and then yeah, whatever you want to say, and then probably we'll wind up in next few segments, right?
So I have immediate two solutions which I want to give to the youth. Um, Number one, everything that you do has to be within the framework of law, irrespective of what has happened. And you
Mm-hmm.
can go as far as announcing a reward for the arrest of any of the perpetrators, like I have done in the past. And Len, you can probably run that here on the video, that how I
Mm-hmm.
have offered a reward of 5 crore each for the arrest of the Prime Minister and Home
इतना
Minister.
पैसा तो नहीं है भाई.
I
No,
have
no,
offered that.
jokes apart, you send me, I mean, how you do it and all. Let's see, and then maybe, yeah. Why not? We'll collect money and then we'll pay. Yeah.
I'm already paying that. I have already offered that, and you should know that despite that being on the know-how of every single person, I am still here
Mm.
without any coercive action against me. Why? Because what I did was under the law. There's a section of the law called 43 CRPC, under which a civilian can also go and arrest a criminal. And under that section of the law, it
Tell me
announces
the section again. I'll go through that section once more.
43 CRPC.
Okay. Okay, fine. I'll go through that and then, yeah, we'll talk about this offline. Yeah.
So I have been questioned by all the agencies to find out how I managed to do this. And the only thing that after speaking to me, they said that you are a genius. Because
Right.
nobody goes into that detail of law. What you need to do is find out every single thing that's there in the law. Number one, stay within the boundaries of the law. Please don't do anything which makes you become like another Sonam Wangchuk. Sonam Wangchuk, whatever he did, eventually ended up being charged under NSA, right? And if
I'll just cut in here. What make him vulnerable to that charge? I mean, because a lot of our youngsters would look at leading a movement like for the state or something like that, right? I mean, that duty is uncompromisable to some of the youths. There will be youth leaders who come out. So what is that one thing we can learn from the case of Sonam Wangchuk, so that we save ourselves from future? It's not that we're scared. neither hai. But then, like, what is your observation on that? Please, a little bit more detail, yeah, that the one you point out.
You have to be aware that the state operates like a criminal syndicate, and the moment they see an opportunity, they will bring in their criminal elements to light up the fire wherever they can and then blame you.
I see,
And
I see, I see.
right, um,
Mhm.
and here you are doing it yourself any which way. So I would say that please don't do anything which is harmful to you or anyone else. Uh, what you did not do in the past 2 years has brought us all here, the nation. When I say us, I mean the nation, because this is, again, I keep on repeating, this is not a matter about Manipur, it is a matter about entire country.
Yeah, the moment we make it, Manipur being a test case, a pilot test bed, and then pilot case, and then the whole of India. Then we started meeting a lot of people who understood that this is an issue which matters to everybody, right? So yeah, that is one aspect that we have learned a little bit, but a long way to go. Yeah.
What also you need to do is you need to come and stand with people who are standing for you, with you, right? So for example, when I give a call for a protest, even if it's based for largely around what has happened in Manipur, none of the people from Manipur show up. uh,
That was what I was telling you about, right? If you have created an organization which is encompassing with a broader vision, they try to stay within. So I would we need to do that, and that is something we would kind of encourage youngsters. I mean, I'll talk to them. Yeah.
that's the reason why I said we should bring in Yogita Bharana as a speaker, so that our
Yeah.
message reaches to the entire country. Entire country understands that while they are busy running helter skelter with issues created for them, here is a life factory which was set up, and now that factory can expand to other parts of the country. It will only take them 5 minutes to just copy paste if they wish to. So until unless
Mhm.
we all act very fast, very soon, um, the entire country can face some I don't even want to say the words because then they come true. So I'm saying we need to avoid anything from expanding further, and only people from Manipur can do that, because you are the ones who know what all is possible under this regime, and it is your duty and responsibility to take up a larger mission. So come and start at least creating awareness for the whole country. And whether you are living in Delhi, you are from Manipur, whether you are living in Manipur, whether you're living in other parts of the country, everyone needs to converge in Delhi and just sit down at Jantar Mantar, expand to India Gate, and let the whole country and the whole world know. What I have also done is I have now moved a petition to the United Nations Security Council about this entire security collapse. Come back these actions. I am taking action against the Election Commission of India through police. I'm taking action against the judges in Supreme Court of India, in the United Nations Security Council. So it's not that everything is exhausted. I have, lost complete faith in the Indian judiciary, especially the Supreme Court of India. But that doesn't mean my options are exhausted and I take to arms. Absolutely not. I will do everything
Mhm.
legally, constitutionally,
Mhm.
and maybe this is the opportunity to show the world, what this terrorist regime is all about. So we
Yeah, I
have.
mean, just to interject here. I mean, like, see, why do people take up arms? There was a time when people take up arms so that they create a society which is based on the rule of law, right? वही है ना आई मीन लाइक अभी जो चल रहा है इस देश में कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को यूज करके ये लोग को चपाट एक मार सकते हैं तो उसमें मारते हैं ना भाई डोंट दैट इज व्हाट आई द अपील टू द यूथ इज लाइक देखो
Come
भाई
and sit
यूज
down
योर
at the
ब्रेन
Supreme
यूज
Court.
योर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन
Come and sit down at the Supreme Court of India. There's enough space for 10,000 people to converge and, just surround the Supreme Court and sit in its lawn and say that, uh, who the hell are you to not list a matter? You are just a bloody mere public servant who's hijacked the country.
yeah we will need a lot of people who feels for this country to stand up for this country doesn't matter whether it's the people who are suffering now or people who have walked the path before. I think this has to be taken up in a different perspective and a new light so that the struggle is not just I mean, we talk a lot of things about inward looking. The movement should be encompassing and then it should bind the people like who have who have been struggling for a long time, so that way it can be sustained. I mean वहां पे आप टायर या कुछ एक burning some wood out there, it makes no sense, right? I mean, like, the people who need to listen or who can make changes are in the capital city because वहां पे तो virus also started spreading from there, right? The lab was in Manipur. So that they have to understand. So you cannot go and appeasement policy of the second World War. Chamberlain बहुत है अपना community में. That's where the problem is. So yeah. So thank you so much. Just one last thing that you want to say. Then probably the the end of the podcast, and then we probably will come back for one more session, because I want to talk to you about Bharat against rape, and then what we should be doing. I mean, like, once we have the plans ready, let's talk about that. I mean, that the impact that it can have, reaching out. Any message that you want to give
So
overall? I mean,
one message for immediate, while I'm completely against this popular government, but one thing that the youth locally should immediately start doing is that there is two schedules in the constitution, schedule 11 and schedule 12. Schedule 11 deals with the panchayat, the village level. Schedule 12 deals with the municipal level. Under schedule 11, the constitution clearly states that the panchayat itself has many rights and to provide you various things. Now that this so-called government is there, immediately at panchayat level, start sending representations to your local village committee, through that to the government, saying that provide us funds because our village panchayat needs to do this under schedule 11. Just attach a copy of schedule 11 from the constitution of India. Similarly,
no,
wherever there is,
I'll just interject here. You're right, and that is how the admin structure is in other parts of the country. When it comes to our hills, there's a ADC. So panchayat is not extended there. The PESA, right? Panchayat what extension something, right? So but what we can do is we have this ADC ke through me, which is also another lame duck kind of arrangement. But still, uh, for starters, I mean, like the cookie villages or any of the cookies villages, they're administered under the traditional system called the in peace, and they have this traditional structures called the school type som in and all that. Maybe we have to revive all that, right? So probably we'll need a lot of crisscross funding and all that, which would be based on education and all that. I mean, without the people in the village, which is the real republic, instead of governance for the cookies, right? So panchayat might not be applicable, but then we'll talk again and find something relevant. But funding jo hai, maybe, yeah, I mean, like, even if, as long as we are not separated, we have every right to ask for funds, right? I mean, as per constitution, as per right as a citizen. But
even if you're living in
panchayat will
buffer
not be
zones,
applicable. Yeah.
even if you're living in buffer zones, you still, through your ADC, can ask the state government to provide you funds, to provide the
Yeah,
funds for the
that,
ADC.
that can be done. Yeah.
Right? And wherever municipality comes in, because for example, Churachandpur, I imagine there will be a municipal corporation there.
There also it's ADC. It's all
Okay.
the six. The hills are all ADCs. So yeah, PESA, the Panchayati Act will not be applicable. But even that, what is there in the
For funds for
Panchayati
the
can
ADC
be
under
can be
schedule 11.
translated to the hills, because the law was intended for both. I'll study the law, and then yeah, I'll get
Schedule,
back to them. Yeah.
schedule 11 and
Thanks
schedule
for that.
12. Form your committees, at least start forming committees to demand schedule 11 and schedule 12 development under
In the
schedule 11 and schedule
traditional
12.
format or something of this, that modified form, right? Can be done, right? Well,
Absolutely.
I'll talk to some of the constitutional guys, and then I'll circle back to you, and then yeah, that is one good point, and one more point, and then I think we should call it quits by 2:15, right?
Everybody should also understand that it's not that the people in the valley are safe. I keep getting reports that people
Yeah,
in the
I
valley
I, I
are
tell them
also
myself, yes.
people in the valley are also facing extortion. They are supposed to pay protection money to this person, that person, and I have verified reports from verified security officials that this is still happening. And this is what is bound to happen when you have extremist forces in charge. So you need to know that this was a ploy which was deployed by a criminal syndicate to wreak havoc and cause harm to everyone, irrespective of which side of or which community you belong to. Don't do anything which puts you, again, I'm repeating, that puts you in the similar situation as Sonam Wangchuk. Lastly, what we need to do is
Mhm.
make this a national movement that criminals cannot be governing a state. Right now, all these MLAs who have taken over charge as so-called popular government ideally
Mhm.
should have been behind bars. Not
Yeah,
what
they
was
failed
done.
us. They failed us. That they promised us again, and they failed us. Right, both sides.
They
So they
failed
are.
in the very basic constitutional duty of securing the state. Instead, they did the
The life
very
and
opposite.
property of its citizens, right? Whom they are supposed to not even serve, at least protect first, then serve later.
So you
So,
have to start a campaign, a, a global campaign stating that criminals cannot be so-called government, let alone popular government, and you have to bring that campaign to converge into the national capital as soon as possible.
all right, ticket yours. We'll be in touch. I think that is something the youths should know. And Delhi chalo should be the slogan. मणिपुर में लड़
Exactly.
के क्या करोगे भाई चुरचानपुर में all those underground are also stooges of somebody. If they're nationalists, you also go to Delhi, na? You also demand. Why you can't stand up to the home minister or somebody there, and then at home you're acting like a lion? Doesn't make sense, right? What is right is right. What is wrong is wrong. Simple as that. So Delhi is where we should converge, and then the way the government was forced upon, and the way the government was sleeping, and then when they were about to face a constitutional crisis, and they would have lost the election, they just to save their skin, they engineered a disunity or some kind of a betrayal within a community and throw the community entirely apart. That is, if you look at the final analysis, we are very angry with our MLS, but at the final analysis, it's the government who is at the MIBAB, right? The central government who should have understood that these minorities have gone through a lot. Instead of understanding, they're putting us through this pain again. So thank you so much, Theos. Thank you so much for giving your time. I mean, you have led movements. You have led, even if alone, I have seen you, do rallies. That I also have, adopted. अकेले कुछ डिक्लेयर करना है तो कर लूंगा. मुझे स्टेज चाहिए तो अकेला मैं डिमांड कर लूंगा. उसमें कोई नहीं रहना तो मत रहो भाई. मैं ये छोटा मोटा टीसी और ये जो यूटी ये सब जो है ना साल भर लगेगा उसके बाद मिलने के बाद after you get it you have no sovereignty over the land minerals below you and then you'll be exploited by the Adanis and Ambanis of the world. So what is the point in fighting for that sort of a demand, right? So those are the things a bit technical, but then nothing is technical if it's right. So thank you so much, Theo. And then the way you talk, I think our youths, if they listen in English, they will understand that Sonam Wangchuk was tricked by the supposedly government who is supposed to do the right thing. So we won't fall into that trap. But then the central government also should know that the most loyal people can also be, sometimes turned. So this is something I'm very afraid of. So
You know,
thank you so
the
much, Theo.
last thing, the last thing I'd
Yeah.
like to conclude with is that this country needs a second independence. And people
Yes, yes.
from Manipur, people from Manipur were part of the first independence movement. You need to be part of the second independence movement. Come just by yourself in large numbers to Delhi. We will sit at the Supreme Court. We will sit at Jantar Mantar. We will sit at India Gate. We'll go and sit outside the Prime Minister's house. But we need to eradicate the entire country from these criminals who have harmed our nation more than Britishers and the Mughals ever did. Thank you.
Okay, these are ways to put in different things. Independence of mind, independence of the kind of uh, the kind of what would I say bondage in terms of mindset and ideologies that they put us through. The India that we know and the India that we grew up is free and is independent from very small mindsets. There was no minority or you me in the India that I grew up. So I'm finding it very difficult to kind of understand this country that we live in. So we have to get it back, and then Manipur is a byproduct of that problem. Thank you so much, Theos, and to the viewers. It's a long podcast. We will be coming up with more, but then the focus would be on since we are personal people who have worked on issues together, it'll be like a seesaw of personal anecdotes and then political issues, the hard, the soft, the fun part, and also the non-compromisable part, and also a little bit of strategy. So yeah, you want one more? Go
Can
ahead.
I end with a poem that I wrote on 15th August 2023?
Please let that be the end. Yeah.
It's inspired from Rabindranath Tagore's poem "Where the Mind is Free," and
Where the
my
line is without fear.
"Where the Mind is Without Fear," right?
Okay.
And I wrote a version of that in August 2023, seeing everything that was going on, and I think that'll be the
Mhm.
most apt conclusion from my side. So I titled this poem as Tagore 23. That how that poem "Where the Mind
Would
is
have
Without Fear" will be in 2023. So
Oh,
here it is.
wonderful.
Where the mind is full of fear and the head is hung low, where knowledge is concocted, where the nation has broken into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depths of lies, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards destruction, where the clear stream of reason has been drowned in hate into the dreary desert sand of dead bodies, where the mind is yet pushed forward by hope and conviction into ever widening righteous desire, thought, and action.
Mhm.
Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake.
Let our people, let the country awake, and we shall try. Thank you so much once again, Theos. And yeah, see you. We'll see you again.